This is Rhonda Ross, and you are listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus.
Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. That's LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com, where you can keep up with everything we have going on. Every Wednesday, a new interview like we have today with the amazing Rhonda Ross. Yes, I said Rhonda Ross. You got it right. Is on the line here with us today. Really excited. And every Saturday, we've got a new music podcast, so you definitely want to check that out at LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. Real quickly, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Positively Pittsburgh Live at pplmag.com. Go check out what they have going on there. It's a great place to just watch videos, listen to podcasts like this one, get a lot of great information, save money. There's all kind of cool stuff there. That is pplmag.com. Now, the wonderful lady I have on the phone with me today is Rhonda Ross, daughter of the famous Diana Ross. Mm-hmm. And who'd have thought a small-town guy like me would someday get to hobnob with such amazing people like this. So I'm really excited. Rhonda, welcome to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
So you were an accomplished actress. You really kind of made a good splash in acting. What made you decide to get into music? I mean, I know you're from a famous music family, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to do it. So how did you make a decision to get into that?
Well, I've always done both, Lou. I've always been both a singer and a singer-songwriter and an actress since my childhood, high school days, and then during college, I went to Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. Towards my last year or two, I started singing in a jazz quartet professionally around Providence. And as I graduated, I went both into singing and also continued acting, and I was cast on a soap opera, Another World, which is where people say I made my splash. but I was always singing. I mean, I was singing on Another World. There's several episodes of me singing on that show, So.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Why jazz?
I don't know why jazz, except for the fact that it's always spoken to my heart. I will give you a funny story, though. My mother was pregnant with me when she was studying to play Billie Holiday in Lady Sings the Blues, her acting debut, which she was nominated for an Oscar for. So they had planned to shoot, and she found out she was pregnant, and so they couldn't shoot. So they postponed the film for a year, or 9 months, or however many. And during that time, she studied and researched and listened to nothing but Billie. And so I believe I was hearing Billie Holiday in the womb, And later, as I grew and would watch her concerts all the time, my favorite part of her concerts were always the jazz section where she did the Billie Holiday stuff. And so Billie is a huge influence on me. And as I became an adult in my 20s, I met and married Rodney Kendrick, an amazing jazz pianist, and he was the music director for Abbey Lincoln. And Abbey is a direct musical descendant of Billie. And Abbey ended up being one of my first and greatest teachers. So jazz is just it's just in me. The storytelling aspect of that type of jazz, the social aspect of that type of jazz, from Billie Holiday to Abbey Lincoln to Nina Simone. These are the people I look to.
Well, you're also a songwriter.
Yes.
So tell us about your songwriting process. And do you and Rodney write together?
We do. Rodney and I have been collaborating musically as well as as husband and wife and parents for over 20 years. And we do write together. Many of the songs that are out there are he and I together, and I also write on my own, and I also collaborate with others. My songs come from my life. My songs are exploring the issues that I explore in my life, issues of what it is to be a person, what it is to be a woman, what it is to be a black person, what it is to be a mother, what it is to be a daughter, what it is to be a spiritual seeker in this day and time. There's a lot going on in the world right now. There's a lot of energies, disparate energies, and the question is, how do I manage that? How do I walk through that? How do I still love myself in that? How do I still make a difference in that? And that's what I write about. Those are the songs I write about.
Okay, speaking of what you write about, first of all, do you have a full-length record out, or is it coming out, or?
I have right now. Speaking of collaborations with Rodney, I have.
Okay.
It's an older record. It's called Rhonda Ross Live, featuring Rodney Kendrick, and that's quite some time old, but it's out there, and I'm very proud of it. And then in the last couple years, I put out a couple singles. Nobody's Business and Summer Day. But yes, I have a full-length studio CD. I was hoping that it would drop this month. We're not quite finished with it, so I think it'll be next month, April. I don't even have a title for it yet, but the songs have been recorded and mixed, and so I'm very excited that that'll come out. And I'm also already writing for my next record. So there's a lot happening right now.
Are you writing all the time? Are like lyrics as you're like going about your day-to-day life?
I am writing all the time. I've always written on the regular, but this year, 2016, it just feels like the songs keep coming. They keep coming. There's just so much. There's so much to speak to. There's so much to explore and to look at. I'm the kind of artist that I am very impacted by what's going on around me. There are some singers who want to sing songs sort of separate from what's happening in society, but I'm not one of them. And so everything that comes through me, every idea, every question, every challenge that I'm faced with emotionally, psychologically, physically, ends up coming out through song. So yeah, this year specifically, 2016, there's been a lot of songs, a lot of songs I'm writing all the time.
So when you are looking at something, something's happening to you or something's happening in the world or whatever, and you get the sort of bug to kind of like turn that into music.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you do that without, because, sometimes if something is like, I don't use like the word political, but if it doesn't have that sort of like staying power because it like, oh, that happened 20 years ago. There's like songs from the 60s and stuff that like are, like they're kind of like not really relevant in a way because they're so, you know what I mean? So how do you kind of like frame that?
I know exactly what you mean. And of course every song is different, and I allow each song to be its own song. So This is not a blanket thing, but what I tend to do is find the core feeling. So if I'm watching a presidential debate and feelings are brought up in me, instead of the song being about the debate or about the candidates or about their stance, the song is more about the feeling that came up in me, which that feeling is universal and that feeling is timeless, right? A feeling of feeling empowered or unempowered or afraid or whatever it is. And the song will then be about that. And the story that's told through the song might have absolutely nothing to do with presidential campaigns. It might have something to do with something else, but it will be based in the feeling that was brought up for me.
Great.
Yeah.
That you answered a big question because I always kind of wondered, like when the songwriter is impacted by something, how they kind of navigate that, and that's actually like a beautiful way of doing it because it brings a lot of things and a lot of people into the discussion. So people that maybe don't understand or whatever, when you speak to the feeling, well, everybody can relate to the feeling.
Yeah, and of course,
that's beautiful.
Every songwriter is different, but that's really the way that I find. And oftentimes a story will come to me based on that feeling, and it'll be a story that I didn't necessarily even expect. It was not a story that's in any way autobiographical, or it just be a story. But that story illuminates that feeling, and that feeling is what I needed to express in that moment, or that feeling is what I feel that we as a community are battling with.
Okay, so let's get a little more specific now, because I was listening to Nobody's Business.
Yeah.
So go ahead, tell us about that song.
I will. That song is really one of my favorites. I'm very proud of it. It's a song that speaks to the power that we each hold inside of us, power and responsibility for that power. And what the power is that we get to choose how we are going to feel despite what's happening around us, despite the turmoil around us, despite other people's opinions of us, right? My mother has a saying that she said all of her life to her children, don't let other people's water get in your boat, right? Mm. And so we have a responsibility for our own boats. So that song, Nobody's Business, is about that. The lyric says, ain't nobody's job to make you happy. Ain't nobody's job to pull you through. Ain't nobody born to give you sunshine that lights inside of you. Ain't nobody going to seek your freedom. Your heart will lead you through. You're the one to choose how you're feeling. Ain't nobody's business if you do. And it's my practice. It's my spiritual practice, you know. And I wrote that song because there was a day when I was feeling down. I was feeling frustrated. I was feeling unsupported. I was feeling unseen, you know, and having a little pity party. And I actually heard this voice said, ain't nobody's job to make you happy, Rhonda Ross. It is nobody else's job to make you happy, so need to figure this one out, you know. And I repeat that. I write songs that help me to live, and that is a great example of a song that helps me to live.
Let's shift a little bit into the live performance, because in the live performance, you also do some like storytelling with the audience. You sort of like get into like what the songs are about as
I do.
Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit about the Rhonda Ross live experience?
Yes. Well, it is an experience, and people tell me that despite, you know, the clips I have on YouTube and that sort of thing, that it is different in the room. And it is different in the room because we are all made of energy. And music is energy, and we are all coming together, and in a very real way, we are all one when we're in that room together. And I believe that art is a conversation. All art is a conversation. Performing art, visual art, all of it is a conversation. It is not one person. It's not a monologue, right? And so I take that very seriously, and the exchange between me and the audience is very palpable and really sacred to me. But yes, we talk, and I do tell stories, and I do talk about where different songs have come from, and different ways that they can be interpreted because of what we talked about earlier. One song can be seen in so many different ways. So we talk about all of that, and it's a good vibe, you know. The lyric of my songs, every lyric has a meaning. That's just the way I write. I don't know how to write any other way. But the music is grooving and funky and fun and makes you want to move. And I think that that's really the power of music, is that when it makes you want to move, you can receive the message in it so much more easily.
Well, there is a connection, you know, between the spiritual side of us and our physical bodies, and that's kind of what the yoga practice is all about. I'm assuming you do yoga.
Yes,
you sound like a yoga person. Yeah.
I do practice yoga, and I practice meditation, and I believe that we are spirits with bodies, not the other way around. So you're speaking my language. That is all my practice.
Well, that flows very nicely with what we're talking about with the music, kind of like, the rhythms and everything kind of activating the body, and then you kind of take into a place where you can kind of become open to ideas and thoughts and feelings.
Yes.
Tell us about, you got to do something really awesome that a lot of most musicians don't get to do. You got to play the inaugural ball.
Yeah, well, one of them. One of them.
Well, there were
many.
You got to do something really awesome like that. So tell us about what that experience was like.
Well, it's an honor, as you just said. It's beyond an honor, and just to be in any way in the room of that part of history is incredible. I just think, these 8 years that Obama has had, and this was in 2012, so this was, halfway through, but this 8 years, what a remarkable thing that we have been able to witness it, that it's been part of our lives, right? And so just to be a fly on the wall, for lack of a better word, in the room of that experience is a big deal. So I'm just pleased to have been a part of that history in a small way. But it was one of the inaugural balls. There's many of them, and yes, I was invited to perform, and I was very, very honored.
Of course. All right, moving right along, because we've got so much time. You do so much.
I'm very busy, Lou. Very busy.
Tell us about relativity. I mean, beyond the Einstein reference, tell us about relativity.
Thank you for asking. Relativity is a solo theater project that I am working on now. It is a piece that, similar to what we were talking about with songs and stories, it is a story and a group of characters that just started to come to me. I just started to hear them talking. Mm-hmm. And I have a dear friend who is a brilliant performing artist, director, actor, singer, professor, named Daniel Alexander Jones. And I mentioned it to him, and he said, write them down. So I just started writing down these voices that I was hearing. I started to notice that they were different from each other. They had different perspectives, and slowly this became a piece. And I noticed that it was Afrofuturistic. It was darker than what I tend to write about when I write a little bit more consciously than that. But I was honoring the story and really just writing it down. And as it came together, I realized that it is a dark tale of supremacy, of privilege, of power gone awry. And these characters are living in this dystopia. And I wrote it down, and I just sort of honored what it was. And so we are still in the process of, one, completing it, but two, staging it and putting it up. I've had readings of it. I did a wonderful reading about a year ago at the University of Texas at Austin of the play. And that's what it is. It's called Relativity. Relativity has a lot to do with, yes, the Einstein reference, but also just perspective, relative perspective, and looking at the same thing in different ways. And I'm very proud of it and very excited about it, and really looking forward to bringing it to a wider audience.
I was reading that on your website, and I was like, I really wanted to kind of know a little bit more about that. It's because just the way you described it, the way it's described on your site, it seems like a little, I don't want to say out of character for you, because everything you have is so positive. I mean, this seems like like a little kind of like a look from the other side of Rhonda.
It might be the other side of the coin. But you know what, Lou? I truthfully, and as an artist, I take my authenticity very seriously.
Of course.
And what I mean by that is I try to honestly express who I am and where I am. Now, it happens that I tend to be a positive person. So that's what comes out. But when there are moments that what comes out is less than positive, I allow that too. It's more important for me to be honest as opposed to building some kind of shined up brand. Of
course.
You know?
Of course.
And so that's really, and people ask me often, how is it being the daughter of Diana Ross, do I feel in the shadow, et cetera, et cetera? And the reason I don't is because I am staunchly holding on to my individuality and my authenticity. And when I can do that, when anyone can do that, you can't be in anyone's shadow, right? You are yourself.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And so it's really important to me that I also honor that piece and that play and those voices, and as well as songs like Summer Day, which are all about hope. But then there are other songs. Drumbeat of Life, for instance, one of my songs, it's not, I wouldn't call it dark, but it's a little angrier, you know. Mm-hmm. And so I just I allow for all of that. One of my songs, Here Right Now, is an example of a story that came to me. It's not autobiographical. It's a story that came, and it's about a person who is lost. Without, she has lost. She's lost through death or whatever. She's lost, and she doesn't know that she can still connect. For instance, this person who has died, the spirit is still alive, but she doesn't know that she can connect. And so, even though the spirit is there in the song, she is still lost, right? And so, it has no happy ending.
Right.
And that song came to me, that story came to me, and I allowed it to be what it was. A part of me said, no, she has to find out at the end. But she doesn't in that song. And I'm not sure that Relativity has a happy ending. You know, the way it's come so far, not so happy. And so, but I honor that. I think if I start to dictate what it needs to be, how it needs to end, the stories will stop coming through. I really need to stay open for them.
Okay. Let's switch gears again because I got so much going on. You work with charities and you do some public speaking and stuff like that. Can you talk a little bit about that, some of the charities you work with and some of the work you do with that?
I can, yes. Well, let me speak to the public speaking first of all.
Okay.
My speaking is exactly what we've been speaking about today. It's what I write my songs about. I talk about being an artist. I talk about being authentic. I talk about having power and tapping into that power. I talk about the responsibility of that power. I talk about dreaming. I talk about visioning and being a visionary and having vision and working toward creating that vision and knowing that we each have the power to create that vision and the responsibility to create that vision. And so this is what I speak to. I do speak to usually younger people, but not all the time. All over the country, and so that's what I speak to. And in terms of my charity work, the things that speak to my heart specifically tend to be charities that help children, that speak to women and people of color, and help empower. And so I'm on the board of Hearts of Gold, which is a New York-based charity that helps homeless mothers and children and specifically, again, empowers them through tutoring and academic help, helping the mothers get on their feet in terms of finding permanent housing, finding a job, learning again how to cook more healthily for their children, this kind of thing, clothing that they may need, things that they may need in the starting of their new home, that sort of thing. and giving some joy to these children who are in the shelter system. There's a whole bunch of them here in New York. They still have to go to school. They still have to do all that stuff, but giving them support and love and joy and celebrations when it comes time for the holidays and birthdays and all of that. And, of course, academic work so that they can feel again, empowered to know that they have the power to do what they need to do in their lives, despite this momentary moment of being in the homeless shelter. So that's Hearts of Gold. I'm also part of Figure Skating in Harlem, which does very similar things for girls in Harlem, tying figure skating and the goals and the tools that you learn through a sport like figure skating to their lives and to their academics, also giving them academic help and just helping them know, in figure skating you fall, you get back up, and that's what you do in life too, know. And so those are the two big ones that I support. I support them financially. I support them with my time, with my presence, and that's what we do. That's what we do.
Okay, great. Now, what's coming up for you this year, like in the next 6 to 12 months? And if you could include something, if you could tell us a little bit in that about Daughters of R&B, because I know that's something you're involved with.
Yes, it is.
Now.
It is. So I will be touring around all over the country with the Rhonda Ross Experience, my show. I have gigs in New York. I have gigs just everywhere. People can go to my website, therhondaross.com, TheRhondaRoss.com. And I'm also all over social media at therhondaross.com. And people can keep track of what I'm doing with my show. As I mentioned, I do have a record coming out that should be out in April, and so that's part of my thing. And then I've joined forces with Miss Carla Cook, Sam Cooke's daughter, a lovely woman and vocalist, and together we have been touring as Daughters of Rhythm and Blues, and that is also a link on my website, and we also have a Facebook page, Daughters of R&B, and people can go check that out. And we have gigs for the next, like you just said, 6 to 12 months. I know in July we'll be doing the Northeast Coast. We'll be doing Connecticut and Maine and that sort of thing. And so I have that going on. And that's it. People, Relativity will be staged soon. And that's what we're doing. That's just keeping me busy.
Okay. That is what's keeping you busy. Give everybody the website one more time, Rhonda, if you don't mind.
The Rhonda Ross, TheRhondaRoss.com, ROSS.com, therhondaross.com.
Rhonda, thanks a lot for taking some time out to talk with us today. I really appreciate it. Do you have a minute to maybe take a bonus question after I wrap up the show?
I do.
Okay, all right, we'll do a bonus round with Rhonda here in a second. Guys, you've been listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. You can go to LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com to hear more great interviews like the one you just heard with the amazing Rhonda Ross. I haven't been to church in a long time, but I kind of feel like this Sunday morning I was just at church. It was
I love it.
Wonderful experience here with a lovely person, lovely woman. LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. One more time, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Positively Pittsburgh Live, where you can check out all the good news about everything that's going on in the area. That is pplmag.com. You can follow us on social media, Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. And if you are a fan or you believe in independent music that isn't really getting out there through corporate media, please support us at supportindierock.com. That is supportindierock.com. My name is Lou Lombardi. You're with the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, and we'll see you guys in the next podcast.